So in this episode, we're going to talk about doing a title transfer from one person to another and also from one state to another. If you have a vehicle that you need to change the title from one owner to a new owner like yourself, maybe you need to change the title from one state to another. Maybe there's two people on a title, you need to take one of them off. We're going to look at how that's done, and we're going to give a couple examples. Here's an example from the state of California. We're also going to take a look at the Georgia title transfer process, and we're going to take a look at the Michigan title process done by the Secretary of State, how to remove owners from a title. So when you look at title transfers, for example, in California, the first thing on the page that they talk about is to prove vehicle ownership, it's important to have a valid, up-to-date, accurate certificate of title. And here's what that looks like. You've seen it before. This is a legal document of a vehicle title. And this document is what proves ownership of a vehicle. You can't prove ownership with a bill of sale. You can't prove ownership with text messages saying, I sell you the vehicle. You need this title certificate. Now, there's ways to do transfers without it, and we'll talk about that later in the video. But the primary method, the requirement says to prove ownership, it's important to have a valid certificate of title. What does it say in Georgia? In Georgia, it says this is what you need before your title can be processed. Title application, original valid title issued in your name and properly assigned. So it's going to be the same no matter where you go. Right? Again, there's ways to transfer a title without the certificate, but we'll talk about that at the end of the video. So, if you're in California and you need to transfer your title, you can do it online, although there's some problems with doing that. Normally, you're going to need to do it in person or by mail. And to transfer a title in California, you will always need the signature of sellers and lien holders. Now, where does that go? On this title certificate, you see on the front, it's got all the scroll work and watermarks, but on the back, it's got places to sign for the seller and the lien holder to sign off. If you're doing a title transfer without having this certificate, those parties will have to sign some other forms. You'll need the signature of the buyer. So if you're the new owner, you also have to sign the title to prove you're accepting the ownership of that vehicle, and a transfer fee. And in most states, it's pretty nominal, $20, $30, $40. But you also need a document prepared and signed. In California, it is this MV1 document, which is the application for transfer of title. You can also use it to replace a title if you've lost yours. And it's pretty straightforward. You put in the owner's name, a lien holder name, you put in the vehicle information, VIN number, year, make, model. And if you notice, the legal owner of the vehicle also needs to have a notarization of their signature. This protects you to make sure no one's going to steal your title and nobody is going to change your title without really being you, because they want to make sure that your identity is validated. The most important thing is that all the items match. The VIN number matches. The year, make, and model matches from what's on the title. If you have the title number or license plate registration number, you want to enter it. So what about if you're transferring it from another state? Here's an example from Georgia. If you're transferring title from another state, here's what you have to do. Again, you need a document MV1 application. Well, here's what Georgia's looks like. It's very similar to California. VIN number, year, make, model, owner's information, owner number 1, owner number 2. If there's a lien holder, seller information. It's basically the same type of document, just in a different format. Okay? In addition, you're going to need the original valid title signed over. If the vehicle's registration is from another state, you're going to need that. You're going to need a certificate of inspection. So what is that about? Well, in most states, if a vehicle is coming into the state from another jurisdiction, so if it's coming to Georgia from California or from Tennessee into Idaho, the new state wants to inspect the vehicle before they issue a title. And the reason for it is they want to make sure that vehicle is certified, authorized, safe for the roads in that state. Some states also have a program for emissions. In California, it's called smog, where they're going to test the emissions control system of the vehicle. Some states just simply verify that the VIN number is correct, that the vehicle is complete, safe for the road, or not registering a box of bolts, right? It's something safe for the road. And that inspection has another form. Let's take a look at that form. Is required when you're switching it from one state to another. Okay, that form is the T28B in Georgia, and it's pretty straightforward. Year, make, model, body style, VIN number, one character at a time. And if you notice, look at the difference between these forms. On this form, the VIN number, just type it in a line, no big deal. On this form, they have it very specific, one character at a time in the boxes. Why is that important? It also has, how is the VIN number plate attached to the vehicle? Does it have rivets? Does it have screws? Is it adhesive? Here's the reason why. Part of this inspection by a Georgia law enforcement officer is to make sure that the vehicle is legal. Nobody's switching VINs from a stolen car. Nobody's typing up their own VIN numbers. They want to make sure this VIN number is legitimate. Because from state to state, that's where people do title washing. They flip it around different states to try to get a title for a vehicle that doesn't qualify. Maybe it's a salvage. Maybe it's parts only. Maybe it's stolen. Maybe it has liens. By checking the VIN number one character at a time and seeing how it's attached to the vehicle, then they can prevent that from happening. So interstate title washing is what they're trying to prevent. And also safety, making sure the vehicle is safe for the road. Certification of a law enforcement officer, law enforcement agency name, badge number, rank, law enforcement agency name. They make sure that this is legit. Okay, so that's what happens when you transfer from one state to another. What happens if you want to change a name? Well, here's Michigan. If you're switching a vehicle that has two names on it, all persons who will be shown on a vehicle title must sign the title application. If the people can't appear together, they can sign each one of their half with an appointment of agent form. Right? So if you're changing names or there's two names on a title, you may have to jump through an extra hoop to switch those names around. The most important thing is do these forms in advance. Don't try to go to the Department of Motor Vehicles empty-handed without this form and just walk in and say, hey, I want a title. Because all they're going to do is they're going to hand you one of these blank forms and say, go over to the table over there and fill it out and wait in line again when you're done. You want to go in with these forms filled out. If you fill them out and maybe there's something that you forgot or maybe there's something wrong, they can help you fix a problem. They can't help you start from scratch. So when you walk in, make sure you have your title, make sure you have your form filled out. If there's other requirements, which in most cases there are, let's scroll down the list and see what else you need. You're also going to need insurance on a vehicle to register it. Emissions, if applicable, some years require it. Copy of your ID. How important is a copy of your ID? It says right here, there are no exceptions to this requirement. Resident, non-resident, military, period. No exceptions. You need an ID. They're not going to put the vehicle in the name of a fake person. And you need a payment. How much does it cost? Not much. Usually, title fees in most states are $10, $15, $20. Texas is $2. It's cheap. You might need a license plate fee. Some states have tax, whether it's called sales tax. In Georgia, it's called ad valorem tax, basically the same as sales tax. You have to pay that. And you have a title and registration. Make sure you show up with your documents. Don't show up empty-handed. Look at the checklist in advance before you go there so you don't have to make 2 trips. It's bad enough to have to go to DMV once. So don't do it twice. Any penalties due? This happens when a vehicle has been off the road and somebody didn't renew their registration for many years. Sometimes there's penalties that are due on the vehicle. If you're switching names in most states, it doesn't matter. In California, if you're trying to register a vehicle that has been off the road for a long period of time, even if you're a new owner, guess what? Those penalties might stick with the vehicle. And what's the checklist for California? To transfer a vehicle, you will always need application, the signatures, transfer fee. Very similar to Georgia. You're going to find that almost all states are going to be the same. How do you get the paperwork to them? You can submit your paperwork to a DMV office, so any location, or by mail. Which is better? Well, pros and cons. If you walk into the DMV in person, you might be able to walk out with a title. If you mail it, you might not. But that's not the end of the story. Not every DMV office keeps titles in stock. Look at this document. This is a legal document. It's got scroll work. It's got watermarks. The name of the owner and the vehicle is typed in at the DMV. These blank certificates are just as valuable as currency. If you had a box of these blank titles, you could print up a title for any vehicle you wanted. So, DMV offices are not allowed to keep blank certificates unless they have a vault equivalent to like a bank safe. So if it's in a strip mall or a small little location that doesn't have a vault, they don't let them keep blank titles, so they're going to have to mail it to you. Also, the agents that work at local branches may not be as experienced as the one that works at the main office, usually in the state capital. In California, it's Sacramento. In Georgia, it's Atlanta, that kind of thing. So by mail, you actually might get better, faster service if you're willing to wait a day or two for the mail. And you don't have to wait in line, and you don't have to make an appointment. So there's pros and cons to each one. Sometimes we found that you're better off mailing it in because the local agent might not know that your paperwork is correct because they may not be as experienced. Where the headquarters have more trained, more senior employees that know your paperwork is good and not going to turn you away arbitrarily. If you need assistance with any of this, you'll find all the forms from every state and all of the documents that you would need on our website, cartitles.com. All the blank forms. You can download for free. You can print them out for free. We even have other videos that will walk you through how to fill out these forms. If you'd like to have our assistance with doing it, you'll see that's an option as a title service that we offer. And if you have questions, you can email our help desk. help@cartitles.com is our email, and we're glad to be of assistance. You can also call up. Our website has our phone number. You can call our help desk. Bottom line is that if you want to do a title transfer, it's doable. Expect a little bit of bureaucracy, but if you have good preparation, it won't be as hard as you might think. Good luck, and we'll see you in the next episode.